So we've been talking about the worship of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, the deity in the north. We saw how we haven't done Judah yet, but we mentioned how the worship of this deity is different in the north than it was in the south. And we went in and we saw how Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh was armed. And then we explained briefly how he was disarmed. Would have to come back and put more meat onto the idea that he was later disarmed. Okay, we'll come there. But we've been waiting to move on with the worship of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh in Judah. But before we do that, I think Madam Pamela asked about Baal and Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. So we decided to cover that, the friction between these two deities and how Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh actually became the patron deity in the north. We are not touching the south yet. So let's begin. What did we mention the last time when we dealt with this? We said that in the northern kingdom, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh was revered through the form of a bull, or anthropomorphically as a storm god. Okay. Additionally, we said that Yahweh's sanctuaries existed in Samaria, Bethel, Dan, Shechem, and then the Transjordan. We did mention as well that this deity, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, was not the only one venerated in this area. Other gods were also worshipped. Now, the book of Kings and many prophetic texts mention the worship of other gods in addition to Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh by the kings of the north. They were saying that not to make them look good, but they were calling these deities idols. Evidence from Deir Allah, the Tel at Deir Allah on the Jordan, which was part of Israel at that time, includes references to deities like El, Ashtar, Shagar, and possibly Shamash. This Tel, this place, Deir Allah, is where the inscription was found that mentions the biblical prophet Balaam. So it's called the Balaam inscription, where he is mentioned as a historical figure. Awesome. Also, we find the plural Shaddai occurring here as well in the north, which can be translated to mean those who belong to Shaddai. So it's either denoting another independent god, or it could also be a title for El. So Shaddai can be an independent god, a god apart from El. But also El has the epithet of Shaddai, El of the mountains, strictly El of the breast. El of the breast. Okay. Mr. Marvin is asking, isn't Balaam also a title? Balaam, I don't know, Mr. Marvin. I don't know that one. It could be. I don't know. I don't know whether Balaam. I haven't spent too much time on Balaam. It could be. Could be a title. Okay. So now let's focus on Dan for a little bit. Problematic Dan. Remember, we're going to do an exclusive class on Dan. There appears also to have been worship of a god here at Dan called Elohei Dan. when I say here at Dan, I mean at the sanctuary in Dan. No, there appears, so these are the different deities. There appears to be a deity worshipped in the sanctuary at Dan with the title Elohe Dan. We've got evidence of this in the 2nd century bilingual inscription, which has Greek and then Aramaic, where it says Theoi, Toi, and Danios. So there is a deity at the sanctuary of Dan that goes by Elohe Dan. So these are some of the deities that we see in the northern kingdom. Additionally, we have Ostraka from Samaria. Now, if you go on Teachable, I have some sources that I've uploaded that shows you all the ostrakas, all the Sumerian ostrakas. You see the whole list there. So it's sources that you can download and review. So we have ostraka from Samaria. Ostrakas are small pieces of poetry used for writing. And the ostrakas that we have from Samaria contain numerous proper names with the element Baal. I repeat it again because we're going to hang our hat on Baal. In Samaria, so in the northern kingdom, we've seen all these deities. Now, when you come to Samaria, we've left Dan, we've come to Samaria. Ostrakas, called the ostraka from Samaria, that are small pieces of poetry used for writing. They contain numerous proper names with the element Baal. Now, what should we know about Baal? I think Mr. CJ mentioned it, and I think Madame Pamela also referenced it when she was requested for this class. It is sometimes difficult to determine whether Baal is used as a title for Yud He Vav He, or if it refers to another deity in these proper names. The proper names that have the element of Baal, to determine whether the Baal there is used as a title for Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, or it refers to another deity in these proper names. You'd understand why I'm saying that as we go on. The book of Kings asserts that, hanging our hat on Baal, since we've introduced him or it. The book of Kings asserts that Mount Carmel was home to a significant sanctuary of Baal. Also, the place where Elijah's story featured a competition between Baal and Yahweh. This is the place at Mount Carmel. So, we do have from the biblical text the presence of Baal in this territory. Since we've introduced him, now let's focus on him, which is Baal and Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Any comments so far? Questions, contributions? I'm going to take 3 very well-known passages and give you the historical background behind it. And I think you would have fun. So it's very powerful when we do this because you get clarity from the perspective of the person writing and why they're writing and why they choose certain words, etc. So, any comments, contributions? Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh was worshipped as a Baal and storm god such as Hadad. In the territory of the north, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh was worshipped as a Baal. When I say as a Baal, he's worshipped as a lord, or he's worshipped as capital Baal, Baal, in the Ugaritic pantheon. Okay. And storm god, such as Hadad. In certain psalms and other poetic texts, which might have been created in the northern kingdom, Yud He Vav He represents the Ugaritic Baal. The deity in Baal, when you take him, look at his attributes, and then you take Yud He Vav He, look at his attributes, you see that there are similarities. Like Baal, who had the epithet of cloud rider, Yud He Vav He similarly uses clouds to travel through the skies. Psalms 104, what do we see? My soul bless Yud He Vav He, my God. You are very great. You are attired with majesty and beauty. You enwrap yourself with light like a garment. You extend the heavens like a curtain. Who roofs his upper chambers with water? You make clouds your chariot. So as Baal is the cloud rider, Yud He Vav He is also the cloud rider. He rides the clouds like a chariot. Okay. Yud He Vav He is depicted as a storm god subduing waters like Ugarit's Baal does. He subdues the waters. We see that in Psalms 29. The voice of Yud He Vav He is upon the waters. The God of glory thunders. Yud He Vav He is over the vast waters. The voice of Yud He Vav He is strength. The voice of Yud He Vav He is in beauty. The voice of Yud He Vav He breaks the cedars. So here the Psalms validates Yud He Vav He's strength, comparing him to a calf over water in the natural world, if you read through from 3 to 9. When you take these psalms, it could have been composed for Baal at Ugarit without any issue. In addition to the worship of Yud He Vav He in ways that may also refer to Baal, the biblical books of Kings tell of a fight between Yud He Vav He and Baal. The battle is set in the time when Ahab was king, the son and heir of Omri, who is recognized by Assyrians as the founder of the northern kingdom. So this is when the battle takes place. Okay. Archaeological findings display huge quantities of construction under King Omri. We've talked a bit about Omri. He is one of the most important kings coming out of the north. Such buildings as the capital in Samaria and then some palaces along with some temples are said that he was the constructor of it. So he built these cities, he built palaces, he built temples. What happened historically? Unless there's a comment or a question, please go for it. No, okay. What happened historically? This is important for the background. In his effort to build a modern state, Omri united with the Phoenicians by having his son Ahab marry Jezebel, who is said to be the daughter of the king of Sidonia. We see that in 1 Kings 16. So in his effort to build a modern state. This is what he does. Omri united with the Phoenicians by having his son Ahab marry Jezebel. Now, different sources indicate her father as Baal, who was king of Tyre. Now, 1 Kings 16 gives us a different account. And then we have other sources that say that his father is Baal. Which one is correct is not my discussion here. But I want you to know that some sources indicate her father as Baal, king of Tyre. You see Baal in her father's name. Put that in your spirit. When this marriage took place, it signified Israel's turning toward Phoenicia. What usually happens when such marriages are finalized? What happens religiously? That is a question. The moment Ahab married Jezebel, what would have happened religiously? So, Israel is now going to open. When I say Israel, I'm talking about the north. Israel will open itself. It would turn towards Phoenicia. As a result, the chief deity, the patron deity of the Phoenicians, would be included in the list of deities that this territory would revere. Look at the lady's father's name, Baal, telling you that they had a Baal that they worshipped. Okay, the chief deity of the Phoenicians is Melqart, Melqart. We have to find out, was Melqart worshipped as a Baal? As a result of this marriage, one can inquire whether Ahab's worship of Baal, we know that he worshipped Baal, but we can inquire whether his worship of Baal, which the Bible reproaches him for, was actually veneration of the Phoenician god Malkut. Is this what the biblical text was speaking about? The introduction of the Phoenician god, whose name was Malkut? Is this what the Bible reproaches him for? Well, who is this Malkut? Malkut appeared to have been the main divinity of Tyre, with the honorary title Baal of Tyre, or Lord of Tyre. This was the deity's title. It is then reasonable to assume this god was the patron deity of the Omride dynasty and widely followed by Samaria's military and court personnel. So the Baal that you read about in the biblical text that Elijah will challenge is this deity of the Phoenicians. Okay, so now let's get some receipts and then build upon what we've just presented.